So as you can see here on my screen, I've already logged into TransactionDesk, and we're going to be using Authentisign to pull in our contracts for a transaction that we've already started. So we need to assume that 1, you know how to use TransactionDesk to create a transaction, and 2, you've already logged in, and 3, that you've actually created the transaction before. Up here at the top, I'm using the Pro View, and up in the upper right hand corner, if I wanted to switch over just to show you this, I'm going to click on the light version. Notice that both of them have the ability up on the top menus to go to Authentisign. So it doesn't matter which one you use, Authentisign is up there at the top. I personally use the Pro View because I like to have every choice, every option, every possibility in front of me at any given time. Even if I'm not using everything right now, I'd like to know that it's there. So I personally prefer the Pro version. You might like the simplicity of the light version. They both use the same database. Doesn't matter which one you go into because Authentisign is right there at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Authentisign. We're simply going to go into a transaction. We're going to start our signing by clicking on Create New Signing. We'll click on that. Create a blank Authentisign. That means we'd have to start from scratch. We'd have to go get a contract, start from scratch, add the signings, etc. That's okay, but it's much simpler if you're going to import a saved transaction because it's going to do some of the work for us. So I'll walk you through the steps for that. Import, going to change select transaction to the transaction that we want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use 2803 Eagle Lake Drive out of my transactions. And one of the things I've noticed about these buttons that I want to share with you is I've noticed that I need to click on the word, not just anywhere on the button. And here we have the address of this signing. I could rename that, call it whatever I want. We're going to go ahead and leave it as the address of the property. You have the sign inline or simul sign. What's the difference? Well, the sign inline allows you to choose the order that you want the participants to sign in, and simul sign sends it out and everybody can sign it in whatever order they need to. In this case, we're going to go ahead and assume that maybe we want the seller to sign it, then we're going to have the buyer sign it, etc. So for a real estate contract, a sign inline might be your most obvious choice. We're going to keep things simple though. If we wanted to make this expire, maybe we wanted to give everybody 2 days to sign it, I could go ahead and put an expiration date on it. I could put any additional details in here that I would like, and then we're simply going to walk through the wizard. So whenever I say the wizard, notice the steps are over here to the left, and then I have a next button up here on the upper right. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Here's where it's asking me the contacts that I want to put in. Now, it got this from the transaction and the original listing that was part of that transaction, which we saw the address was the Eagle Lake Drive address. So I'm going to go ahead and add all 3 of these. And I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, these buttons, I noticed that you're more accurate if you click on the words, it'll actually go right away. If you click on the outer gray area, it doesn't exactly go every time. In this particular, one of the reasons why I used this particular property was because whenever I brought it in, the owner of record was missing some important information, so it was going to allow me to change it. That's because for this demonstration, I'm going to put in my name and my email address so that I can show you this process all the way through. So, the owner of record, I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to change this owner of record to my name, put in my address, so that we can actually see both ends of this signing. So I do have other information I could put in here, but I'm just going to put in the required, my name, last name, email address, and then I'm going to save that participant. So now you can see I'm in there as the seller. Now, of course, because this is in my TransactionDesk account, I'm also in here as the selling agent for this particular transaction. I can change the order over here if I needed to, but all I need to do at this point is click Next. Now it's asking me which documents I would like to add to this signing. I could add them all, but just for simplicity's sake, what we're going to do is we're just going to simply add the as-is residential contract that I had put into this transaction. And then we're going to click Add Documents. Couple of things to note here. Over on the left, the wizard progress, I'm now on step 3, where I've added the documents. We did the signing setup, we added the participants, we're now on step 3. Also, Once it added the document, the as-is residential contract that I put in, because there is a signing template for that document, it's actually telling me about it. It says this signing is using templates, default template applied. It gives you the option to remove it, but what that's going to do is that's going to automatically place the signing components onto the contract, and you'll actually see that firsthand here in just a moment. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the next step. I do have the option of bringing in more documents, but in this case I've already got what I need, so I'm going to go ahead and click Next. So you can see the thumbnails of the document over here on the left, so I could move directly to any page that I needed. You see the contract itself, the page that I'm on, showing in the middle. And then over here to the right, you have any drag and drop blocks that you may need. Now, the way that I've done this, by automatically bringing this in from a transaction, I've actually had the transaction automatically fill in most of the spots on the contract. And one of the things that signing template did for me was automatically put the initial blocks and signature blocks where they go. So as you can see here, if I go page to page, you can see here at the bottom, it's automatically put the place for my initials in there. And then if I go down to the last page, you can see where it needs to be signed at. It's actually put the sign here automatically where it needs to go, and a signature auto date in there as well. Now you still have the option, if there was some special place on the contract that you needed to add another signature or an initial or something else, you do have those choices over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead excuse me, and I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop another initial onto this page just so that we can see how it's done. It's as easy as dragging, dropping, letting go, and now I'll be required whenever you see me sign this to click in that spot as well. So not only did I have the automatic placement of the signature blocks, but I've also got an initial block or whatever other choice that I might need to add to a contract that I can manually put in there as well. Alright, you do have drawing tools at the top if you need to make any extra notations, but what we're going to do is we're going to go straight for the signing, so I'm going to click Next. Notice we're flowing through our wizard. We're now in the finalization area. We've already seen the contract, we've seen the signature blocks, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the thumbs up over here, finalize details and send to signers. Finalize and send to invitations, and it's on its way. So here you can see this is the transaction that we've just sent out. Right? The status here is where we can view the progress. It's really just initially sending it out at this point. Alright, looks like I got the email, so if I was the seller at this point, I would have received that email from the agent. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up that email. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my email, and I'll drag that over here so we can see what we've received. So here's the email that the seller would have received, signing participant invitation, and it says click here to sign. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I've already actually created an account, but there would be an account creation step in here if you hadn't already done that. And from this point you can see I've got a little bit of control over what I can do here. Create your signature, edit personal details. I can change the language here from English to Spanish. And my signature, you can see that I've got a signature in here and an initial. If I click on Instanet Ink, that allows me to literally sign my name on the screen. Now you can do that with a mouse. It's even easier if you're viewing these things on a tablet, something with a touch screen where you can virtually sign a document and put initials in, etc. Or you could change it to more of a normal font. Maybe you feel like that would be your best choice. This is actually the old way that we were forced to do it. So the real signature that you can see here is a newer feature that's been added to Authentisign. So it's pretty exciting. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just give you a glimpse here of Instanet Ink, just so you can see it. So had I wanted to sign that, you can see here that I've got my little pen, and I could have signed in this area and created that signature. and then click Next. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because I don't need to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my password in. I will tell you that I forgot what my password was a little bit ago whenever I was running through the prelims of setting this demonstration up, and so I had to click on Forgot My Password, and it emails it right to you. So if this is the 2nd, 3rd, 15th time you've used Authentisign and you forgot your password, all you got to do is click on Forgot Your Password. It will email you right to you. And down here on step 3, I need to agree to their terms and simply confirm and accept. So I've verified my account and signature, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start the signing. So you can see, once again, thumbnails over here on the left, document in the middle, and over here on the right is the most obvious button I've ever seen in bright red. They've also put in bright red up here at the top. That's because a lot of people miss it, so now you know it's in bright red, so you can always guide your seller, buyer, whoever needs to sign this document. If they're not finding where to start, you can easily tell them it's that bright red button over on the right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Signing, and what it does is it's automatically going to take me to each initial, each signature. All I have to do as the signer is click on it. And you can see just real quickly as it's moving from one to another, you can see my little initial being placed into each of those little spots. I'm going to go ahead and sign my life away here and get through this document. We're now on the last page, so you'll see here's that initial block that we added. So I'll go ahead and click on that. Let me show you what that looked like. There we go. And click on the signature spot. So it creates the code, date, and timestamp on there, and it also automatically put the date over to the right. And now the button is on Done and Accept All, so they could review the document real quick, make sure that they're happy with all of their initials. So I just went back to the first page here. See, I got my initial there, got my initial in the next page, etc. After I go through all the documents, make sure that I'm happy with that, then I can say Done and Accept. Complete the signing. I've got my successfully completed message that popped up, and so we are good to go. Now, as the agent, you can see that I just received a message that tells me that I've had a successful signing action. So I know that maybe I need to go in and look at 2803 Eagle Lake Drive, number 2. So what we'll do is we will go back in here. So we can go into TransactionDesk, go to Authentisign, and I can go ahead and view the status. In this case, you can see here that the participant, the seller, has authenticated and signed the document, but I still have a couple more people who need to sign the document. So you can see the exact status right there. Alright, so on this page, it doesn't actually say it's done. If it had thumbs up, that means everyone has signed it. But in this case, we have the ability to view the status, and we can see who's signed it and who has not, or who we're waiting for. That way, if we need to send an email, make a phone call, etc.